How should I know? They suggested green lining to represent the farmland. Sure, why not? For the tie, they suggested white stripes to represent milk and dairy farming. It all seemed a bit bougie to me, but I knew nothing about fashion, so I just nodded and said, that sounded great. The one request I did have was for the New Zealand flag to be stitched into the lining. It wasn't an unusual request. Some players get their college logo, but I wanted to represent New Zealand through and through. I was told to collect my suit from the agency the day before the draft. When I walked into the room, the first thing I noticed was a Cleveland Cavaliers singlet laid out with the logo cut out. One of the women told me a player had asked for the Cavaliers logo to be sewn into the lining of his jacket. I thought that was bloody brave. No player knows for sure where they're going to end up, and no organisation knows for sure which player they'll pick until they do it on the night. I had an inkling that I was going to go to Oklahoma City because of the way my visits there had gone, but I would never have dared tell anyone, let alone stitch the Oklahoma City Thunder logo into the lining of my suit. I needed to know who the man was with the biggest balls in the draft. So while I was looking through the rack for my suit, I had a peek at all the other players' outfits. All of them were pretty standard until I saw one that had a college team singlet number on one side of the lining, and on the other was the logo of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I couldn't believe this guy was that confident. And somehow I knew right then that the Cavaliers wouldn't pick him first. The universe wouldn't let anything work out that smoothly. I regretted not putting the logo of the Manawatu Jets basketball team on the other side of my jacket just for shits and giggles. It seemed as appropriate as a Cavaliers logo. When I told my brothers, we all agreed it was a boss move, then went back to worrying about my own future. David Stern came back on stage to announce the first pick. With the first pick in the 2013 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Anthony Bennett. The whole room gasped. The ESPN guys yelled in surprise. This guy's table stared at the floor like someone had just died. I've never seen a group of people look so disappointed at such a joyous occasion. If the camera had cut to our table, it would have shown all of us with our mouths wide open trying not to laugh. It was an amazing moment. People seemed to feel sorry for him, but not me. We were all about to be recruited by an NBA team and live our dream. Not one of us deserved anyone's sympathy. We were the luckiest guys in the world that night. When this guy was finally selected, I watched as he flashed one side of his jacket and then held the other side shut while he shook David Stern's hand on stage. There was an audible sigh of relief throughout the room when his name was read out, as if being selected in an NBA draft was some kind of torture. The Phoenix Suns were on the clock for the 5th pick of the draft. I'd been to Phoenix for a workout and really liked it there. It was bloody hot, but I didn't mind it because it reminded me of Tonga. The Suns had seemed quite interested in me, and it was a thrill when my agent Darren Matsubara got a call from them on the night. When you watch the draft on TV, it looks like the floor of the arena is filled with the players and their support teams. But what you don't see is that the other half is packed with media and agents frantically calling organisations and sorting deals for their players. It's one of the busiest nights for them. I was glad all I had to do was sit there and not pick my nose on camera. All players go into the draft not knowing where they'll end up, but the announcement of their name isn't a complete surprise because the managers of each team will call the player's agent 5 minutes before they announce their pick. Not every call to an agent ends in a contract, though. The Suns called Mats, and they talked for a bit. And then they picked Alex Len, a 7'1" centre from Ukraine. I have no idea what was said in that phone call, and I've never asked. For all I know, they dialed the wrong number. It was slowly dawning on me that my life was about to change. I was predicted to go somewhere between 10 and 20 in the draft, and it was getting close. But I was starving. It was a huge event, and we got all dressed up and sat at tables, so I assumed they would at least feed us. But there was no food. Like, at all. The only thing on the table was a bottle of Gatorade because it's a major sponsor of the NBA. By the 8th pick, I was thirsty and clammy and wanted a drink. So I grabbed the bottle and went to open it, but it was glued shut. They actually put Gatorade bottles in front of a bunch of nervous athletes and then glued them shut so we couldn't drink it. I was starting to expect free stuff from any NBA.